Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Shari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Shari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Shari Jaya Kunja Vihari Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll recite together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. So I welcome you all for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are going to read today from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter, 40th verse. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.40. Ime janpada sriddha supakvau aushadhi virudha vanadri nadyi udanvanto hidhante tava vikshitahi ime janpada sriddha supakvau shadhi virudha vanadri nadyudanvanto vanadri nadyudanvanto danvanto vanadri nadyudanvanto hidhante tava vikshitahi ime janpada sriddha supakvau shadhi virudha vanadri nadyudanvanto hidhante tava vikshitahi ime janpada sriddha supakvau shadhi virudha vanadri nadyudanvanto hidhante tava vikshitahi. Devotees can recite. इमे जनपदाः वृद्धाः
सुपक्वोषधिविरुधः
सुपक्वौषधिविरुधाः
वनाद्रिनद्य उद्वन्तो
वनाद्रिनद्युदन्वन्तो
हेधन्ते तव वीक्षिते
हीदन्ते तव ईक्षिते
इमे जनपदा स्वेदा
इमे जनपदाः वृद्धाः
पक्वोषधि विरुदा
सुपक्वौषधिविरुधाः
वनादीन्दुन्दवन्त्वन्तो
वनाद्रिनद्युदन्वन्तो
ईदन्ते तव वीक्षिते
हीदन्ते तव ईक्षिते. Any devotee online, if they want to recite, they can unmute and recite.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Can I recite Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
इमे जनापधा श्रद्धा
इमे जनपदा शुद्धा
सुपक्वौषधिविरुदः
सुपक्वौषधिविरुधा
वनाद्रिनद्युदन्वन्तो
वनाद्रिनद्युदन्वन्तो
येदन्ते तव वीक्षितैः.
हीदन्ते तव वीक्षिते.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Word to word meaning? Ime, all these, Janpada, cities and towns, Sviddha, flourished, Supakva, mature, Aushadhi, herbs, Virudha, vegetables, Vana, forest, Adri, hills, Nadi, rivers, Udanvantah, seas, He, certainly, Edhante, increasing, Tava, why you, Vikshitahi, seen. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals and the oceans full of wealth, and this is all due to your glancing over them. Purport. Human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. The more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, the more there will be unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general. Although a few only can live lavishly by exploitation, the natural gifts such as grains and vegetables, fruits, rivers, the hills of jewels and minerals, and the seas full of pearls are supplied by the order of the Supreme. And as He desires, material nature produces them in abundance or restricts them at times. The natural law is that the human being may take advantage of these godly gifts by nature and satisfactorily flourish on them without being captivated by the exploitative motive of lording it over material nature. The more we attempt to exploit material nature according to our whims of enjoyment, the more we shall become entrapped by the reaction of such exploitative attempts. If we have sufficient grains, fruits, vegetables and herbs, then what is the necessity of running a slaughterhouse and killing poor animals? A man need not kill an animal if he has sufficient grains and vegetables to eat. The flow of river waters fertilizes the fields, and there is more than what we need. Minerals are produced in the hills and the jewels in the ocean. If the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewels, water, milk, etc., then why should it hanker after terrible industrial enterprises at the cost of the labor of some unfortunate man? But all these natural gifts are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. What we need, therefore, is to be obedient to the laws of the Lord and achieve the perfection of human life by devotional service. The indication by Kunti Devi are just to the point. She desires that God's mercy be bestowed upon them so that natural prosperity be maintained by His grace. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining this Srimad Bhagavatam session. First of all, my humble request to all the devotees to please bestow your blessings so that I can share in parampara and it is useful for you to help in practicing devotional service. So before I start, as you know, last time, like in one session I was discussing, there is always scriptures in a particular way so that it benefits particular class of people, right? So generally for devotees, these are divided in three parts. Anyone remembers what are those three parts we segregated? Yes? Yeah, Sambandh, Avidheya and Prayojan, right? So similarly, why I am sharing these things, so whenever you read on your own or whenever you hear, you can relate what is the lesson or what is the teaching which I have to implement in our life. Sometimes as a speaker we share directly the application, but sometimes it's not possible. But at that point if we try to understand whether it's for my relationship, whether it's for practicing or whether it is to remember the goal, ultimately should benefit, right? So it is told about Srimad Bhagavatam that like we were trying to read some words in this sloka where it was becoming difficult to actually pronounce also, right? That is the problem in Kali Yuga. Like there is a word Vanadri Nadyudanvanto, right? So it's not for a joke or a smile, but please be sure whether you are able to pronounce or not. It is told by Srila Prabhupada himself that even a person who cannot pronounce it clearly, it's totally improper. But even if we try to pronounce or sing along or recite these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita scriptures, then it is going to benefit fully. Because our master is Krishna, who sees the intention, not the form. Right? Form or substance, sometimes it is told that form is important or substance. So there is always conflict. Some people say form is very important, some people say substance. So as per ideology of devotees, both things are important. Like if I'm not sitting in dhoti kurta, then it's of no use others to get inspired. But at the same time, wearing dhoti kurta, if we are not acting spiritually, then that's a loss for oneself. So seeing from the perspective of in general mass and for a particular person, both the things are important. Form means what you see from external, and substance what we carry with that. It could be value, or it could be the value, or it could be our motive or intention. Similarly, in this verse, whenever you read any verse, try to find out that keyword which is most important. So if I ask this audience here, what do you see? What is that core word in this shlok that if you remove it, then it's like, you remove the foundation or the main pillar of a building, then what will happen? That whole building will collapse. So if I ask you, give yourself a time, 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever. What is that word in this shlok which you find is that foundation, that if you remove that, then for sure that whole building is going to collapse. Like in children's play, you see they make house of that cards. So if you remove some base cards, so there are certain cards, if you remove, nothing will happen. But certain card if you remove, then that whole structure collapses. So give yourself a time. I'll wait. And raise your hands, those who want to contribute. Why I'm saying? Because that is the gist of this shlok, this verse. If we do not discuss on that, then whole purpose is defeated. Okay, yes, Vishwamanai Prabhu.
I feel vikshite.
Yes, rightly picked up. Thank you very much. Vikshitahi. So what is the meaning of Vikshitahi? Seen. And seen by whom? Lord Krishna. See, all these details would remain details only if there is no connection to Lord. Right? So Kunti Maharani is so expert. If you would have read previous verses, what was the details? Like yesterday Ramakrishna Prabhu took the class. So what were those two verses in context? She is actually indirectly experiencing the viraha, separation of Lord. Just by thinking that now is the moment and Lord is going away. She is just turmoiled inside. What will happen if he goes away? And in that separation, that natural love is outflowing for Krishna. And in that consciousness he is speaking these verses. That what happens when your feet, which are marked with auspicious signs, 19 signs we studied yesterday, if those feet are not on this land, then what all could have happened, right? What happens when your presence is there, right, on this land? Who all could not do anything to us, could do no harms, right, because you were there. Similarly, she is saying that although outside it looks that prosperity has come on its own, like Prabhupada rightly says in this verse, if you go to the second line, the gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization. So if we do not see things in connection to Lord, then actually it is godless civilization, right? So we'll be coming on that. This is actually main gist of this. That problem arises when we are not see the connection, when we are not able to see the connection. Like if somebody is here farmer, somebody is here from background of farmer, their parents or someone is doing still farming properly, okay, two devotees are here. So you let me know what happens when everything has been done. Land has been tilled, okay, water has been provided by some canal, well, or some water source. You had sown the seed in the soft soil, and you have provided even the important organic fertilizers, okay, cow dung, ashes, or some neem oil or whatever. But after few months or days, whatever is the time for that crop to ripe, what is the attitude of that farmer? Can he claim that there would be proper crop? Although he has ensured that everything is in order, in place, proper. Yeah. So do you see that nature in that farmer also? Have you seen any farmer? If you go to Mandi to purchase vegetables, if really you meet some farmer, because fortunately I lived in a place which is Patelgarh. My hometown name is Saugad. Patelgarh means Patels are living there, and Patel at our place means those who do, like here Patels, Kheti, those who do agricultural work. So my home or my house was there where near around there were Patels. They used to do harvesting or agricultural, duty main was for them. So if you meet them, they might be boasting for certain things, but when it came about that crop, they were totally humbled, because they knew whatever you do, but ultimately it is in the hands of Lord. Sometimes there is fog, sometimes there is heavy rain, no rain, sometimes there is a lot of moisture, sometimes there is very much heavy sun heat, drought. So all these factors you do not control. So naturally when person lives near to nature, when he abides, like Prabhupada writes in the last 3-4 lines, if you read, the Prabhupada writes that if person follows the laws of nature and created by God, then there is surety to have peace, then there is surety to have happiness, prosperity, actual prosperity. So that's what used to happen. Whatever things has been mentioned here, why there is no software industry, why there is no factories, motor cars, bicycles. By the way, very interesting. Well, I was preparing. How much water you drink every day? Some simple calculation. 2 to 3 liters. In general, we'll calculate 3 liters. So how much for 365 days in general? 3 3s are 9. 65 3s are around 150. 1100 liters, right? For a year. Do you know how much water is needed to create one bicycle? Which we so-called, we had cyclotron recently, so I was just thinking, how much water is needed to create a bicycle? Anyone of you know? Some guess, wild guess. 40-50 liters, okay. Something more, this is very less. How much? Okay, little more, not too much. Yeah, around 2000. 2000 to 3000 liters of water is needed for what? Producing a single bicycle, including everything, those tires, that paint, brush, nut bolts, everything needs washing, cooling down. If you know the industry, if somebody is from mechanical background, they know. While creating even metal things, you need a lot of water to cool it down, that process, machinery and everything. For paint industries also, so much water is needed. Similarly for tire, rubber industries, so much is there to soak into, then clean, then wash, a lot of things. And can you guess how much is needed for car and an average car? Any wild guess? Okay, 10,000, something more? Yes, Manik Prabhu. How wild you can guess? Let's guess it. Okay, he's very near. Actually, it starts from 40,000. The smallest, least expensive car, the water needed to produce a car, it starts from somewhere 30-40,000 liters. And in general, it goes up to 3 lakh, 4 lakh liters. How much? More than what you need throughout your life. And not you, your whole family. On an average, if we consider 40, So every year you are consuming around 1000 to 1100 liter water, right? For not sustenance but for maintenance of this body intake, right? And if I am saying 40,000 liter for a car, then that means 40 years of your life. This is not some haywire that Prabhupada has written that vital energy of a person's life is taken away by going into the industries. If you read this line, the more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, the more there will be unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general. What does it mean? I am just giving you some random facts to make sure that you understand whatever things you are using actually, these are gifts of God, and without knowing the impact we are just using. And what is the ultimate gain? Still we have to depend on Lord's nature. Even after having so many facilities, if you consider this place, I consider this place one of the best places in Pune to live, isn't it? Nearby is the hill, you go for walk there, nice pathways created, right? Water is there, isn't it? Just you go few kilometers, no traffic, and you'll have your company, right? Software company. So workplace is also near, and those who are staying at the center, they know they get hot prasadam at least once. Not even your manager would be getting, believe me, the kind of prasadam we are getting, because I have seen my managers bringing their food and then keeping in the microwave, and sometimes that vegetable or sabji is yesterday's prepared or whatever. So considering all these facts, it is only possible because you are practicing some dharma. Because there were no industries before, no ugra karma. In Prabhupada's lecture on the same verse, Prabhupada says, this all actually leads to ugra karma. This industrial purposes, creating big factories, this all leads to ugra karma. And what happens? Once you enter into this cycle is so vicious that there is always a hope, like a hope for a person or an ass, that there is a carrot which he is going to get. So that carrot is of what? Happiness and satisfaction, which actually we never get, because we are going away from nature, right? So these facts about car and bike, why did I give? Just to make you realize that what do you need and what you are consuming. Please understand. 3-4 lakh liters of water, even if I consider what you use for your own purpose everyday bathing, it might touch that much. So how much we are exploiting? And believe me, this water, what I told, this is not recycled water. They use fresh water for most of the things. Because if they use contaminated water, then those processes of metallurgy and mechanical machinery itself will create problems to function it. So therefore they use fresh water, and as the outcome, what do? All the waste is sent into what? Rivers, land, everything gets polluted. So this is a cycle, what you go for and what you get out of it. It's totally waste. Although we are using it, like Prabhupada says, this microphone, he used to give that example. He'll put his finger, this microphone. So he would always quote verse from Rupa Goswami. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharam upayunjata nirvandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So for a devotee, the most important thing is to understand that whatever we are using, if we are able to, this is actually the lesson out of this verse which Prabhupada has given in his lecture, and I am quoting here right now so that you see whatever details further we will discuss in this connection, that ideal or the most important use of any item or any energy of Krishna is that you use that energy again in service of Krishna, and that is the only way to make you happy. Otherwise it's totally impossible. Correct? So now in this connection, if you see that position of a farmer, that he depends on Lord Krishna, and ultimately when that crop comes, is he going to eat everything himself? In return, what he has to do? he'll have to sell, and for what? To feed living entities, isn't it? Whatever comes as the base product of that crop is also useful for whom? Living entities, cows, all the cattle, isn't it? So that is ideal model. So now what is the, you would be thinking, now what do I mean? Everyone should be going for agriculture or some mining, natural mining, or what? No, that's not the purpose. But this is for us to make us realize that why are we making our life so complicated? If there is no need of the products, why do we keep adding products? Being on Amazon, Flipkart, this was not just some random thoughts that Prabhupada used to say, simple living. And even in this verse Prabhupada mentioned that if you keep yourself engaged in the lifestyle or activities like this, where you are feeling just I have to consume without considering what is coming from Lord and for what purpose, then ultimate problem would be created. And what would be that? You will be away from your basic goal, the prime goal. What is that? To have Krishna. Because your consciousness is one, right? Your time is limited, your energy is limited. If you do not engage it properly, then certain amount of energy or life or consciousness only you would be using for right purpose. Don't you think if you just spend some time on social media, Amazon or Flipkarts, you are never going to get that time again in your life? Same time if you would have invested on Krishnapedia, Godpedia, our Veda base, whatever you would have earned, Neha Vikram Nasosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate, Swalpam api yasya dharmasya trayate, if same intelligence we would have used a little to understand some of the verses, to remember some of the verses, our life would be some next level. And that bank account or credit would be also permanent, right? So whatever we use, whatever activities we do, we have to keep reminding ourselves that if it is not anasaktasya vishyan yatharam upinyata nirabandhe Krishna sambandhe, the only way to cut the ties of this material affection and bonds is to use everything in the service of Krishna. And if we are able to use, like this camera is here, Zoom application is being used by so many devotees, right? I am using this laptop. So all this technology is making sense when we are using to spread Krishna consciousness, when we are using to make ourselves Krishna conscious, and when we are using to give Krishna consciousness for generations. Isn't it? Why Prabhupada wrote so many books? He had that firm faith. These books are not for my disciples only. These are for the next 10,000 years. 10,000 years means, 100 years means how many generations? Minimum 3 generations. So then 1000 generation means 1000 years means 3000 generation, and 10,000 means 30,000 generations. Can you believe it? What Upkar Prabhupada has done for the centuries to come. And this is certain thing which cannot be compared to any social welfare work. And this was the potency of Prabhupada. He used to say boldly, what we speak of one purport, what we speak of one paragraph, even if a person reads one line or even one word, he is sure to go back to Godhead. Isn't it? So we should also engage our energy in this way. Although we have to live, so we have to use certain equipments, machinery, technology, applications, we'll have to use, but always keeping this fact in our mind that this is for the purpose of keeping myself Krishna conscious and spreading Krishna consciousness. Then that would be the best use of that service. Problem comes when there is a question of sense gratification. That is what actually holds us. Have you ever seen any institute or an organization promoting, come here, we'll teach you how to organize your activities by controlling senses. What I mean to say here, have you ever seen an advertisement or any billboards or any theme outside this spiritual circle, especially ISKCON, that they are teaching you how to be sense controlled? Why not? Because this outside world actually wants you to be sense gratifier. In that way you will remain exploitative to others, your subordinates, and they will be exploiting whom? You. Welcome to the material world. Now where is the peace? When you sure, 100% sure that I am here to exploit these all who are under me, and above me is also someone who is squeezing me to exploit me for his fulfillment. In such a system, how can you be happy? Is it ever possible? It's never possible. And what is our system? What is system of Vaishnavas? What is our core line? Gopir Bhartur Pad Kamaliyor? Yeah. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says nicely that thousands of times. Correct? So that's what we have to remind. Here you become great by becoming servant. And there everyone is trying to become master so that they can exploit and become better. Now it's our choice what we want to do. The more we will try to climb up the ladder of this material possessions, more we will become sickly, diseased. Because the tendency would crawl into in our mind setup also. That I want to exploit. For whose satisfaction? My own satisfaction. In same way, every education you see, how a person becomes good, if I ask you, how you would be happy in your company? What would be the answer of a person? You tell me. Boss, anu boss. Isn't it? What you all are trying by serving nicely every year? What comes as a promotion? Boss, anu boss. You try to climb up the ladder by becoming boss, having more money. I dare to say, but this is 100% fact, that not money actually drives a person throughout. It's by becoming that boss, the control which you get, that drives you to continue. Even in today's family lives also, the moment husband and wife understands that I cannot become his boss, there is no question of living, divorce. Path goes away because I am not able to exploit you. Then what is the use? Because that's my tendency, I want to exploit. So this exploitative mentality is there within us, and best way to use that mentality in right purpose, exploitative mentality, is to actually exploit our sense gratification tendencies. Exploit those. How can we exploit? Exhaust it by serving Krishna. Exhaust it by serving a spiritual mission. Exploit these senses by saying that you are not meant for your own. You are meant for Vaishnavas, you are meant for Guru, you are meant for Krishna. So same senses if we use for the service of Krishna, instead of becoming unrestful, what Prabhupada is saying, the more we work outside, what happens? Previously no one would have seen more than 10-12 hours of work, but I bet most of you are doing now. Even I doubt I have worked more than 10 hours pre-COVID era. Now post-COVID era, you all are working more than 10-12 hours, isn't it? Anyone working less? Even if you have to do some assignments, some trainings, it is expected you remain for 8 to 10 hours online. And outside of that, if somebody calls from your company, your project, you should be available. Isn't it discussed in the interview? You should be available. Probably 24 hours a day. Right. How can you be happy? Where is that time if you're working 12, 14 hours? Where is that time except food and sleep? Where would be that time to think I have to read Srimad Bhagavatam? Where is that time you will have to think that I have to come at the conclusion, not knowingly with knowledge, but actually realizing I am not body, I am soul. I am body, I have to take rest, I have to eat. That would be the ultimate truth for that person who is spending 12, 14 hours a day in a company. So this is injustice. Now where is that line, where is that border that we need to define? Generally, why people work extra hours, or why do they follow everything whatever company has said? What would be your answer? Why you are following norms?
Job security.
Job security in terms of? Are there jobs which even if they pay less, you will be happy? There are, no? So who is driving whom? Actually our senses are driving us. So there should be some limit that you need to understand, right? Because there is no end to such things. If it would not have been, then why there are more suicidal cases of an employed person in US and Japan? In UK, their suicide rate is more for whom? Those who are working, especially Japan. They're obsessed with work, and many commit suicide just because they have exhausted themselves. Now they find no goal, no happiness, no satisfaction. Once in a while, few years back, they were thinking that I'll have lots of work. By lots of work, I'll have satisfaction that I am working, and I'll also gain, for which everyone is trying, honey, honey, money, money. But actually it ends nowhere. And that becomes a bottleneck challenge. So who has to define that boundary? Ourselves. And what should be the base? Am I becoming Krishna conscious or not? Like if you are doing some job where you are spending more than 12 hours, and even after that also you have to receive call and everything, how can you say that you will have time for Krishna consciousness? Only false truths or vows you can take after 10 years when I have earned sufficiently. That day, Prabhuji, I'll start nicely. That day will come when, but before that I need. So then, congratulations. Automatically you will be made feel not boss, boss, bossanu, boss. They will crush you and make you feel das, 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 dasanu, das. So in bhakti we feel joy in becoming das, das, dasanu, das. But when we are exploited, then there is a lot of pain. Physical, mental agony is there in person. So Prabhupada discusses these things. I have written few examples. Let me discuss and check with you what do you feel about these. So there was one discussion going on. I was hearing one class, and Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj had come to Pune. So he was sharing that question was asked in the assembly of sages at Camp Pune temple, and their question was, Maharaj, so much nonsense is going on. Why still there is grain? Nobody is following dharma. Why still there is water available? Why there is grains, food stuff available? Yeah, this is like same case study. One devotee suggested Prithu Maharaj. Before him, who was the king? Vena. Right? At his reign, in his kingdom, the case study was such that once he left, he had exhausted so much, and his also praja, kinsman. In what way? Yatha raja tatha praja. So he not only stopped spiritual activities or dharma, he also allured, he also established that principle that no one should be following. And if you want to follow, I am here, na? Follow me, worship me. I am your that cool hero. Why to go for that Mullidhar, Tribhanga Lalita, right? So he wanted to establish himself as God. So what was the ultimate conclusion there? That earth told, enough is enough, no more products. She stopped producing grains, basic facility, water. Water was totally gone. And then Prathu Maharaj comes. He uses his chariot, and he divides the earth. He does the tilling of the land, everything. Not only that, he chastises Mother Earth. He's Saktavesh Avatar of Lord. He can do that. We can just imagine what a power prowess he had. So there that principle comes, that Vena actually exhausted because there was no piety. Piety in terms of considering that these things are given or as a gift of Lord. So she stopped producing, Mother Earth stopped producing everything needed, minerals, water, grains, foodstuff, fruits, everything. And when Prathu Maharaj established, he did so many yagyas, 100 Ashwamedh yagyas. You can't imagine how much would be needed for that. So then it happened that because of the piety of that king and the followers, she said, yeah, I'll do that. What's the issue? I'll do now naturally. It happened. Right? Just go 300 years ago. What was the GDP of India? Anyone remembers? 17th century, Britishers did not come to beg for food. They didn't come here to Indians to tell, oh, you have nothing, therefore we want to enslave you. Isn't it? There was so much, 45 to 50 trillion. What is right now, if you go and check, what is the GDP of USA right now? 30 to 35 trillion somewhere. And that is also based on false funds. Exhaustive resources from Venezuela, so many countries, Vietnam, Iraq. 10 years they emptied the oil resources of Iraq actually in the attempt to say that so and so person has attacked us in 2001. For the namesake, they actually exhausted all the resources, especially the oil. That is diplomacy, politics, world politics. But that lesson, what it is, still when they consider they are the topmost, their GDP is somewhere 30 trillion. And that is also based on false money, not actual assets. Actual assets actually means, Prabhupada gives an example that previously people used to eat in what? Silver, brass, or even in leaf plates. Leaf plates you use and throw. What is royalty? Today's when you go to Udupi, most of you have gone. You go to Udupi, South India, you feel, what a feeling, isn't it? Every day you eating in the leaf plate of banana leaf plate, and you're feeling, wow, just use it and throw it. And it's also organically biodegradable. Oh, no, what do we say? Bio? Yeah, degradable or what? Yeah. And Prabhupada says that at that time, if suppose somebody has no money, he is having his vessels, he can easily go in the market and sell that vessel or metal and say, give me some paisa. Now you have plastics, China clay pots. What would you ask if you go into the market? Tell me. If they have some brass or silver or gold, they can exchange it. That was the class poor person used to do, Now what about us? Plastic ka papad, chan ke, nut bolt ka dry fruits, what do you say? What would you eat? So that we saw in the COVID, isn't it? Nature automatically purifies itself because it acts under the supreme will. Who is creating all the nonsense? We humans. Those who read some news in Corona, if you remember, Yamuna started looking better and clean in just a month. First lockdown, 22nd March to end of April. And there were news, now hills can be seen, Himalayas seen from Punjab, Haryana, which was never seen because of the layer of that pollution. River is looking very nice, clean water. So many animals are appearing which were found extinct or gone. How was it possible? Under the supreme will of whom? Lord. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagadvi parivartate. Whose instruction, under whose reign, whose guidance or control nature works? Krishna. And he is all perfect. So if you want to perfect any system, just leave it. You come out of it. Prabhupada used to say, just you remove one living entity, and who is that? Human. Whatever system you are finding getting collapsed, it will automatically come vibrant and nice. You just remove that one living entity, humans, from there. Exploitation. Right? So here in this verse, when we see Vikshitai, so by whose glance? Krishna's glance. And what happens when we put our glance? What is there for me? Take as much as possible. Huh? So that is the difference. So we have to change our vision, our understanding, and that would be possible. And here you see, even at that time it is told that cities were considered good. Their word is used Janpada. What is the meaning of Janpada? That single most substantial sustainable unit of residences. That was called Janpada. Like Gram was one unit, Gaon, right? Then there was Janpada, Mahajanpadas. Those were the unit division of the like cities, metro cities, states, and all those things. So it is told that not only because of Supakvau Aushadhi Virudha, not because of minerals, gems, pearls, or herbs, grains, but this Janpada also, which is constructed by matter only. How Janpadas are constructed, pathways and everything. We use Mother Earth substances like stones, metals, gems, everything. But it is also considered actually here natural. And what do we find natural in our cities nowadays? From starting from that tar to this building, whatever we have constructed, everything just takes us away from Krishna. Our consciousness is actually stolen. Radheshyam Prabhu had come once to the Blue Ridge, and in his first lecture he told, "My Lord, when I come here," you see his eyes become big, right? So he says, "My Lord, when I came here, so much big concrete. It's like forest of concrete." Forest of concrete means nothing to eat, nothing to look for. Therefore, people go in the, nowadays they go for parks, they will go for, trekking, they will go for riverside, they will go for ocean side or beaches. For what? To feel themselves fulfilled by actually observing, drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty, seeing that nature, manifesting of Krishna's feeling, his expression for all these living entities, what he has provided. Otherwise, there is nothing to be seen or nothing to observe outside. If it is not Krishna's energy, what would you observe? Your energy you can see. Our energy, very first thing in the morning we present in the washroom. That is our energy. Krishna gives gulab jamun, Prabhupada used to say, and what do we create? That is our energy, right? Otherwise, we discussed on car. You need just few thousand liters for your whole life, and to have some freedom, some comforts. You are creating car which needs lakhs of liters of water. In creating, so don't you think you are exploiting? If I am saying today there is scarcity of water, isn't it equivalent to whatever amount of water you are using in factories, which is actually of no direct use? Creating a car or bike which is useful further for what? To reach your factory? To go to the next city for work? But what about that farmer who is creating actual gem, which is the magic of Krishna? Those little grains which you keep inside, it gives you energy. Nobody is thinking that direction. And that actually happened. Everyone was fearful in Corona. Just thinking just thinking this one fact that what if my supply is cut? Because you were here. You cannot go for purchase, you were not allowed. You were not allowed to go outside. Wasn't this fear? We were here in the Blue Ridge that time, and we were fearful how vegetables would come. There was constant tug of war between few devotees, those who did not like grains and other things. So they were constantly, there was some discussion, अरे vegetables आना चाहिए, fruits आना चाहिए. अरे भाई कैसे लेके आए? कोरोना लेके आए कि vegetables लेके आए? You know, we are not sure what is coming. So you purchased in abundance what? Grains. Because that's what you can keep nicely for long. So that just 1 month showed us the future. Although we were working in the most sophisticated industry, software industry, but you cannot eat Gmail. Yeah. By seeing the pictures, you might become happy in Canva or photos or whatever gallery, but you cannot feed yourself by looking at the pictures. Oh, paratha, puri. It's not possible. You will have to actually eat. For that you need substance. For that you need some kripa, mercy of Krishna. Because it's totally a magic. It's totally a magic. You see any fruits, vegetables, it's a magic. That earth which seems nothing, which you cannot take and lick directly, that produces something wonderful which you can eat, and it's then digested also. So sweet. One devotee was giving example that you see one person, if he is having acres of land, what does he do generally? At the same time he is having one side of the field Karela, one side aam, one side lauki, gehu. You see na differences. Same field, same water he would be providing, right? Grains only would differ. That is also provided by whom? Krishna. And what comes out? Karela, neem, mango, apple, nibu. Isn't it magic? Because we never think from that perspective, because we are away from nature. Like many people, laugh that if you ask someone, some small kid today, दूध कहाँ से आता है? D-Mart. Or whichever near mart is there. सांची से आता है, मूल से आता है. No one knows गाय से आता है, भैंस से आता है, भेड़ बकरी से आता है. Because there is no connection. So we can ensure ourselves that we are reminded, connected with the nature, in the base consciousness of Nirbandhe Krishna. Always remembering that this all is actually possible provided because Krishna is there, because he is providing. So Jayadev Swami Maharaj actually told, because there are some devotees in this world, that discussion from camp I forgot to quote that main thing, because a few devotees are there in this world who are practicing and trying to please Krishna. So to maintain them, Krishna provides, and in their maintenance everyone else is provided. Otherwise there is no need for earth to give anything to rascals like what we have today. So we need to remember, if we are practicing nicely, we'll have an abundance. Everything will come on its own. Many of you can go and have check nice farm communities are there now in India also. One such as GB and Salem also they are having, right? Stone temple they are bringing, and one more that Radha Desh, and in Hungary, what is that farm name? His Holiness Shivam Swami Maharaj stays there most of the time. In Hungary, there is one farm, Gokul or something, I am forgetting the name. So we should visit these, not to get inspired to leave everything, but to actually understand that this is actually satisfying to us. However, how long you work here in this way, it's never going to satisfy, right? Ugra karma will only come. Big industries not has satisfaction. So these all things are related. Like there was a discussion, finally this would be the final quote. If somebody from PETA comes and challenges ISKCON devotees, right? That how you are helping in saving the animals. You are not vegan also, right? you're using milk, this, that. So I always remember one example, like our Maharaj from Kashmir, Navyogan Swami Maharaj. He was in Vrindavan, I was sitting in the class and I had one of his example. His one Sardar disciple is there. So one such person asked, how you are helping in saving the animals or saving the environment? So Maharaj said, अच्छा, हाँ साहब जी, कितने मुर्गे खाता था तू? साहब जी 2. That amount of meat he used to eat was of 2 hens or chicken, whatever you say. At least 2 a day. हाँ तो भाई कौन पूछ रहा था? साल का कितना हुआ? 365 दूनी 730. कितना मुर्गा सेव किया इसको भक्त बना के? So this was his answer, isn't it? We had never to be told indirectly कि environment friendly हो जाओ, vegan हो जाओ, ये हो जाओ. So just by becoming a devotee, just by making one other person a devotee, you can do so much. How many lives saved in a year? Just imagine. Prabhupada, one disciple, he used to cut thousands of cows. Planned way में slaughter houses में thousands of animals are, and he used to sit and do that. But just by getting one Prabhupada book and becoming devotee, so much to be saved. Just by that posting one book, just by endeavoring to make one person a devotee. So we have so much to do for the welfare. Never underestimate you and your endeavors. So my best wishes to all of you. In that context, we will see this verse. So yeah, this is from my end. If anyone is having any question, they can ask, or we'll close this discussion. Hare Krishna. Anyone online or anything? Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you very much.